Okay, so we have a lot to talk about in regards to Destiny 2 today. We got some bad news, which is the confirmation of the delay, and I'll be honest, some really good news from Joe Blackburn about the state of, the game, things we should expect in this weird period that we're getting, and some things teased for the final shape. Now, for one, let's talk about the bad. I don't want to avoid this and leave this to the end because the bad is really important. The final shape was delayed, and this is a period of the cycle of this game, this franchise, that I think is an interesting one. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This isn't the lowest point for me personally when it comes to Destiny 2. That actually happened with the expansions or DLCs after Destiny 2's launch, to the point where I actually didn't even play Forsaken when it first launched. That's how bad that period was. So for me personally, this isn't the end all be all, but at the same time, Bungie has to use this period to recuperate a lot of trust with their community, because a lot of that has been really just, tarnished. Like, Lightfall, in my opinion, was a good expansion, but for many, and rightfully so, they have this right to feel like this. They were very disappointed by that expansion, and I think they're onto something there. Seasons after that, at least the first 2 seasons after that weren't really good, and then now Season of the Witch, which was a phenomenal season, didn't really bring in numbers throughout the whole period, and hopefully Season of the Wish and some of this content stuff can help get the excitement going like Season of the Seraph did for Lightfall, but all that has to be, set in stone. Let's see how that goes. But the new date for Destiny 2, the final shape, is June 4th, 2024. Now, before we jump into the good, I want to mention this. There are concerns about the expansion internally. We have kind of heard this and seen this throughout the coverage of what's going on with the Bungie layoffs and things like that. But there's also the corporate side of things. What has happened here is that the Final Shape expansion was pushed out of the 2023 fiscal year for Sony and now in the 2024 fiscal year. And what that means is Sony has a game or a big release on the books for 2024, because I think besides The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which don't even get me started on that, 2024 is kind of a quiet period for PlayStation. So for a fiscal reason and stock reason, this is helpful. So with all that out the way, let's jump into the good. So a lot of the good came in this video from Joe Blackburn, talking about some of the stuff going on. He laid out that Season of the Wish starts tomorrow. I'm personally very excited about it. There's a lot to be hopeful for and, excited about when it comes to this new season. He also name dropped kind of a Siva reference. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but people may go crazy with the fact that he said the name of the brand new dungeon, Warlords Ruin. Now, Warlords in Destiny have a very, very big connection with Siva. We explored in the Rise of Iron the Warlord period of the Destiny 2 universe, or at least the Destiny universe. I don't know why I said Destiny 2 universe. And even with Season of the Seraph with Rasputin, we revisited that to a certain extent. So yeah, all that is pretty intriguing, and diving into a Warlord type of lore, and let's see how this connects to the story of the final shape and leading into us going to the Traveler and Season of the Wish. That is exciting on a narrative side of things. And as always, I've said this before, Bungie's dungeons have been nailing it every single release post Prophecy. So I'm excited for this dungeon. I think it's going to be great. Let's see how the content, the rewards, boss, health pool, all that plays out. Now, something else that is pretty exciting was a confirmation of a period of Destiny 2 that I don't think we have had, but is very much needed beyond belief. And how it's described is that there's going to be content for all players, which indicates this may be free updates from April to June, or at least May, to fill in this gap that is kind of the dead period. And this is described as, or at least called, Destiny 2 Into the Light. Now, part of this update sounds like it's onboarding players. So the goal here is to create content for everyone, whether you have thousands of hours like myself for some reason, I don't know why I play this game so much, or you have friends and players who are new to the game. There's going to be content here. There's going to be an experience here catered to onboarding players and bringing everyone back together to lead into the final shape. Again, all that sounds intriguing. We should have more information on that April. Joe Blackburn stated that's the next time we should see some information, some gameplay around the final shape, which is exciting, I guess you could say. But all that, again, is talk. And one thing I was really happy Joe Blackburn said, because it's kind of where I'm at with games, less talking, more showing. And he understands that what he's saying is great, but he acknowledges that we need to see in order to trust. Words like that coming from the game director, I think, is reassuring for a situation that Destiny 2 is in. Now, that isn't just everything. We are getting PvP map packs, and I will say that this, even though I will label it in the good, I'm a little disappointed. It's 3 maps, not 4 maps. I think 4 maps was what I was hoping for, but 3 maps is what we're getting now. All these are described as new maps. So they are on Europa, the Terraform Pyramid, and Neonuma. When it comes to scale-wise, they were described as a Jav 4 scale, so that's basically the Javelin 4 map. I think this is actually a nice middle ground. Some of their new maps have been scaled up. I don't know why. It's kind of confusing because theoretically, some of the new maps for PvP should be focused on the hardcore community here. And I like to talk about, especially with Call of Duty, how a lot of the mass audience needs to be in consideration for some of these changes, time to kill values, these experiences, because you want to make sure you have a healthy pool. But in the case of Destiny, Destiny's one of those weird games where they offer a PvE and PvP side of things. And those who play PvP, you guys are very hardcore. You're very passionate. And what you're seeking is kind of a healthy competitive scene, whether that's ranked, whether that's Trials of Osiris, and a lot of these modes revolve around 3v3. So when they create new maps that are massive scaled, they don't really cater to the hardcore players. They're catering to 6v6, and I'm sorry, a lot of players that do play casually don't like PvP, and they're just there for the bounties, they're just there for the challenges, they are just there to maybe get a weapon from, shacks. Like, that's really it. So hearing that these maps are designed on the Jav 4 scale of things was awesome to hear for PvP players. Now, me personally, I will get into PvP if Bungie does a better job with the PvP architecture, and that's where Checkmate comes into play. Now, this is something I have been fascinated by, and it sounds like some of the modifiers, some of the rules of Checkmate are coming into the core foundation of the Crucible experience. Less ability regen, more focus on gunplay. Some of the stuff there is incredible. I know some people were worried, like, well, this is the beginning of D2 and that was a horrible PvP experience. Yeah, you're right, but we need to find a great middle ground. PvP in Destiny has always been great when it focuses on the guns you get as rewards throughout the game itself. That's one of my favorite parts about Destiny, alongside some of the design aspects of the maps that were superior to what we have experienced in D2, but that's a different story. Focusing on gunplay and kind of what Bungie is strong at, especially with what they did with the Halo franchise, is kind of their bread and butter for the PvP experience, and if they can get somewhere in the realm of that, I do think we can get a healthy, not as frustrating experience with PvP, which I think for me as an individual player is where I'm struggling with PvP, because it doesn't feel like it's a gun aspect. It's about abilities and dodging and slowing and all this other nonsense, less about the guns. So yeah, if they can find that middle ground by May when this map pack is going to be released, I think this should be a healthy period. But altogether, I am intrigued by what's going to happen. I'm here for the long haul. I love this franchise. I have maybe 10,000 hours in total with this franchise. That is a lot of time. And I'm not saying that Destiny's gonna die. I don't think it is. But this is a crucial period to see where we're going for the future beyond the final shape. And I do trust Bungie here to get things together. I've always stated this on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, that I do think the corporate side when it comes to Bungie has been winning out the last year and a half, and that the backlash and the idiotic revenue miss that they predicted, like they thought they were making more money and they missed it by 45%, which I think is a failure on their end. I don't think it's a failure on the game itself. I think they just, they had their head up their ass or something. But I do think with some of this backlash, some of this community sentiment, that the devs side of things are starting to win over arguments that they may be having. Again, I am not a person on the inside. I have no idea what leadership, or at least the dev side versus the corporate side, has any, like, what those situations are. But we know that there are some, frustrations among the devs about, hey, we listen to these people, we need to make these changes, and you guys are refusing to make these changes. So let's see how things play out. I'm intrigued by this period. I think for a lot of players, this is an important period to see where they will be going when it comes to the future of this franchise. But yeah, leave your thoughts down below. There's a lot to unpack here. And yeah, this video is a little bit on the longer side, but it's kind of what I expected. There's a lot to talk about, and with the official delay, let's see how things go. But until then, hope you guys have a good one. Leave your thoughts down below. If you guys also enjoyed this video, be sure to drop this video a like. Helps out the video a ton. And for more content from me, whether it's Destiny 2, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I drop more content. But that's pretty much all I got for this one. Hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.